The rain did not fall gently that night. It crashed down like a verdict, soaking the empty streets of downtown Seattle and turning the city into a blur of reflections and shadows. Nathaniel Brooks, a man who controlled boardrooms and billion-dollar decisions with quiet precision, sat alone in the back seat of his black sedan and stared out the window as if he were searching for something he had already lost. At 42, he had everything that success promised and nothing that peace required. Then, through the curtain of rain and neon light, he saw her collapse near a bus stop, blood mixing with water on the pavement, and in that moment his carefully ordered life fractured forever. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of one human choosing to care, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Nathaniel was known in business magazines as a visionary CEO, the man who rebuilt Brooks Innovations after his father's sudden death and turned it into a tech empire stretching across the United States. Yet behind the polished headlines was a man haunted by long nights, empty penthouses, and a marriage that had ended not in anger but in silence. His wife, Claire, had once told him that he was married to his company more than to her, and when she left, he had not chased her. He told himself love was inefficient, unpredictable, and dangerous. That belief kept him safe, or so he thought, until the rain forced him to stop. The driver slowed instinctively, but Nathaniel was already opening the door, his expensive shoes sinking into cold water as he stepped out. The woman on the sidewalk looked impossibly small against the storm. Her dark hair plastered to her face, her coat torn, one eye swollen shut. She flinched when he approached, her body curling inward as if expecting another blow from the world. Nathaniel felt a strange tightness in his chest, something unfamiliar and sharp, as he crouched beside her and told her with a steadiness he did not feel that she was safe now. He did not know why he said it, only that it felt necessary, like a promise his soul demanded he make. She was taken to a private hospital under Nathaniel's name, no questions asked. Her name was Abigail Turner, a name that sounded ordinary enough to disappear into any crowd, yet her story refused to remain invisible. She had come to Seattle chasing a job opportunity that never materialized, trapped instead by a man who had seemed charming until he revealed himself to be cruel. When she finally ran, she had nothing but the clothes she wore and the courage to keep moving until exhaustion betrayed her. Nathaniel visited the hospital each evening after work, standing quietly at the doorway at first, unsure why he was there. He told himself it was responsibility, guilt, charity, anything but connection. Abigail rarely spoke in those early days. She stared out the window, fingers clenched around the blanket, her eyes carrying the distant look of someone who had learned not to hope. Watching her, Nathaniel began to recognize the same emptiness he saw in his own reflection each morning. Different causes, same loneliness. As weeks passed, Abigail healed physically, but the deeper wounds resisted time. Nightmares stole her sleep, sudden noises made her flinch, and silence frightened her more than pain. Nathaniel arranged therapy, housing, and a modest stipend, believing logistics could solve what compassion could not. Yet the more he tried to fix her life from a distance, the more he realized how little he understood about being present. His office became a place of restlessness, his once clear decisions clouded by thoughts of whether Abigail had eaten, whether she felt alone. Nathaniel's own struggles surfaced in quiet moments. He remembered growing up in a house where love was conditional and achievement was currency. His father, Samuel Brooks, had taught him that weakness invited loss. When Samuel died suddenly of a heart attack, Nathaniel inherited not only a company, but an unspoken command to never slow down. That lesson had cost him friendships, his marriage, and any sense of belonging beyond his name on a building. Sitting across from Abigail, in the sterile hospital cafeteria one afternoon, he felt the weight of years pressing down on him, and for the first time he did not want to carry it alone. Abigail eventually moved into a small apartment Nathaniel arranged near a church in Tacoma, a quiet place with tree-lined streets and neighbors who smiled without asking questions. She found work at a community bookstore, the kind that smelled of paper and coffee, where her gentle nature felt like a gift rather than a liability. Still, healing was not linear. Some days she felt strong enough to imagine a future. Other days she felt trapped by fear, convinced that safety was temporary. Nathaniel struggled too. His board demanded aggressive expansion. His advisors warned him about distractions, and rumors circulated about his involvement with a woman no one could place. He felt torn between the world he had built and the fragile human reality unfolding in front of him. One night, after a particularly brutal meeting, he drove aimlessly through the rain again, ending up parked outside Abigail's building. He did not go in. He sat there, listening to the storm, realizing that the walls he had built to protect himself were the very things keeping him alone. Change came quietly. Nathaniel began delegating more, trusting his team, choosing presence over control. He volunteered anonymously at the same church near Abigail's apartment, serving meals to people whose lives bore scars far deeper than his own. Abigail noticed the shift before anyone else. She saw a man learning to listen, to sit with discomfort, to offer help without expecting. Gratitude. In his steadiness, she found a sense of safety that did not demand anything from her in return. Their connection deepened not through grand gestures, but through shared silence, through walks in the park where autumn leaves painted the ground in gold and red, through moments of mutual understanding that required no words. Both were still broken in their own ways, but together they learned that brokenness did not disqualify them from love. It made them honest. Just before the end of this story, I want to ask you something special. Please comment the word hope if you believe that even the most damaged hearts can find healing again. Your comment might be the encouragement someone else desperately needs. The true test came when Abigail's past resurfaced. Her former abuser was arrested in another state, and she was asked to testify. The thought of facing him threatened to unravel all the progress she had made. Fear crept back into her life, whispering that she was still powerless. Nathaniel stood beside her through every step, not as a savior, but as a witness to her strength. He supported her decision, whatever it would be, even if it meant stepping back. In doing so, he learned what real love required: respect. The day of the testimony was clear and cold. Abigail walked into the courthouse alone, her head held high, carrying the courage she had rebuilt piece by piece. Nathaniel waited outside, hands trembling, realizing that he could not protect her from everything, and that maybe he was never meant to. When she emerged hours later, exhausted but resolute, something fundamental shifted. Abigail was no longer defined by what had been done to her. She had reclaimed her voice. Months later, on a quiet evening overlooking Puget Sound, Nathaniel reflected on how one moment in the rain had rewritten his life. He was no longer the lonely CEO hiding behind success. He was a man who had learned that safety was not about control, but about presence. Abigail, standing beside him, had found not a rescuer, but a partner who saw her worth even when she could not. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion can change lives in ways success never will, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive. The rain still fell in Seattle, but it no longer felt like a judgment. It felt like cleansing, like renewal. Two wounded souls had found each other, not to erase the past, but to prove that even after the darkest storms, it is possible to stand in the light again, safe, seen, and finally home.